Hi, this is Max Bricks, and today I have my overhead valve engine and I have my one cylinder that went 6,000 RPM last video. And I've improved both of them. This one I know for sure, the overhead valve engine, I know for sure it went 1,600 RPM. I'm pretty sure it went faster than that, but I had to mess around with a couple things and I did some improvements and I never got to tack it and see how much RPM it goes. But I'm pretty sure it goes around 1,700 RPM, 1,700 RPM. So, but this one cylinder, I'm not sure how much it gained. I'm guessing probably around 500 RPM maybe. On top of it, I've I did some more testing on this to see what the actual RPM is because I just rounded it to 6,000. And I got before 6,000, around 6,500, 6,600 or so. So it goes faster than 6,000. Plus, on top of that, I put my modification on there, and it added 500 more RPM. So, if you don't want to listen to me what I've done to both of the engines to make them go faster, you can skip ahead about 9 minutes or so, and I should be done explaining, and you can see them run. So let's see what I've done to the overhead valve engine. So what I've done to it is that I made exhaust on here, and you can see about right here there's a hole right there, and it's about 3 studs wide and about a plate tall, and it's exhaust, that's exhaust port, and of course, as you can see, it only has one valve. So I made an exhaust on a overhead valve engine that only has one valve as intake, and it works as exhaust just like a regular just like a regular one cylinder does. So I made it into an overhead valve engine version, and it runs pretty good. This is my own design. I basically made it by myself, of course, and I didn't base it off anyone's idea because no one ever made it before. So, and this type of overhead valve engine is the type that has a valve that actually opens and closes like this. So, it actually opens and closes like a real valve instead of some other overhead valve engines. So that's the type of overhead valve I'm talking about when I'm showing the improvements that I made on this thing. So this is an example of what the bottom of it looks like because I don't want to tear it apart. So here's what the valve looks like. It has it has a 1x4 basically on each side, right there. And what that does is that there's ports that I showed you that has the 3 studs wide, and the valve, whenever the valve opens up, it closes the exhaust port so that it, of course, it doesn't let any air in the cylinder walls, the cylinder, whenever it doesn't need it. But then whenever it closes and there's nowhere the air to go, then it closes and it lets the port open up, which then lets in air and then makes it have exhaust that let in air. So that's how that works. And I had to sand it down on each side to make it run faster. So that's what the modifications I've done to this. And I've put a smaller crankshaft on this because before I need a big crankshaft in order to spin this camshaft, because before right now I took off the relief valve because the design was kind of bad, and I'm gonna improve on it, and I'm gonna make a video of the Lenco transmission that I made. If you haven't seen it, I'll post it in the comments below. Um, I'll hook up the overhead valve engine and the one cylinder up to it, and I'm not sure when it's gonna drop out or when it's gonna upload to YouTube because I have a lot of issues as far as school goes, as far as uncertainties, homework and stuff. You know how it is. So I don't know when I'm gonna post it, but so that's what I've done to this. Like I said, I put a smaller crank in it, I put an exhaust in it, and I put a lighter spring rate on it because I don't need it because the relief valve needed a bigger spring rate versus what it is right now. So it's much smoother, as you can see. So it's much smoother, and it also improves power as well, or RPM. So let's move on to the one cylinder and what I did to it. So here it is, and just up for you. So the only thing that I already done to it is, well, first I switched lubes on both engines. I don't think it improves any, but before I just used regular WD-40, and now I'm using like blaster silicone. I'm not sure how well this stuff works or not, but that's what I'm using. So hopefully that should protect my Lego bricks, because before I had plastic on the top of my cylinder walls, and of course you can tell it's eroding away. But I did do that, and the most important thing I did, well, all the modifications I did, was through this throttle body. And so let's take it off. The first thing I did was that I moved the throttle up so that's more in line with this hole here. So I moved it upwards so it's more in line with it. And the other thing that I did to it was this. This is the modification I did. Well, one of the modifications I did. So you have a brick here, and you have a brick on top here. So you put that in there, put that in there. You have this. So what that does is that it directs, well, it closes off the air that it doesn't need, that it's just open inside there. And since it takes the vacuum has to put that under negative pressure, more space than negative pressure, which is losing vacuum, which of course lose power if you don't have enough vacuum to the engine. The more vacuum you get the engine, of course the faster it goes. So, and also it directs the air more towards the hole on the bottom here. So now hopefully you understand what the modifications I've done to it. This one especially goes super smooth. So yeah. Well, it's 9 minutes, I think. So it's right on time as well. So we'll run the one cylinder first. Well, actually, we'll run the overhead valve engine first. Go slowest to fastest. Just to keep you guys entertained to the end to see how fast the first engine goes. Well, let's test it out. So that's the overhead valve engine. As you see, it runs decently fast compared to last time. Definitely improved it. So I guess that stuff really helps, especially the exhaust on there. If you ever want to build one of these engines, exhaust really helps. I've closed off. Well, one time I closed off the port with my thumb once, and it kind of slows down a lot. Well, I mean, it slows down a little bit. Let's just run it. Let's just, you can see it for yourself. As you can see, it kind of runs really slow now. And when I put my thumb up the port of it, my thumb on the port, off the port, on the port, off the port. So you can see it runs much better with the exhaust on there. And if you ever want to run it, feel free to copy my design. If you are, though, please give me credit for it, because I made my own design. So that's overhead valve engine. Let's move on to the thing you've been waiting for. Got this engine. So this engine, of course, whenever I put the modification on there, about half throttle, it's still like closed a little bit, like mostly if you look through it. It's still, you can't really see a hole through the other side, or a gap through the other side, because it has to go around the throttle, because they have that rounded on the top of the throttle. And since that throttle's in the middle and you open it up just a little bit, it'd still be in line with the bottom of that arc. It would still be on the bottom. And that's about halfway throttle on this throttle, on this engine. So you can see, or you can hear about half throttle. It's like kind of slow, and then whenever you put full throttle, it just kicks in. So let's run. So that's the one cylinder. So as you can tell, that's a slow side, and then if you full throttle it, it really launches off. It's much different from the other throttle that I made. So that's my video. Hope you guys liked it. So bye.